love to pay out on the ABC on the regular, you know, for their inherent bias, their diving ratings due to being so out of touch with the average Australian, and they're just casually framing our soldiers for war crimes they didn't commit by adding in audio of gunshots that didn't happen, you know, the usual stuff. But we rarely talk about the other national broadcaster, the SBS, which is also funded by the taxpayer by the tune of $1.8 billion for 5 years, starting last year. It's still a lot of money. But this was brought to our attention this week by a guy called Peter, who called into 2GB to talk about the fact that SBS do their weather report using Indigenous language. Check out this graphic. It's confusing for the best of us. Certainly me. I wouldn't have a clue where's where looking at that map, which is the point that he raised. We are an English-speaking country. We do all speak English here, and that is hard to follow for the vast majority of us. And so Ben Fordham then got on the line to Warren Mundine, our resident Indigenous expert here at Sky News, and asked him, what do you make of this, mate?
I like having Aboriginal names. I like it Wollongong and so on and that, and Wagga Wagga and things. But look, it starts getting a bit crazy and goes overboard, and this is when it starts upsetting people. Brisbane is Brisbane, Darwin is Darwin, and Wagga Wagga is Wagga Wagga, and Dubbo is Dubbo.
We know already that out of the 4 million place names across Australia, about 75% of them are from Indigenous names, whether it's Wagga Wagga or Ballarat or Barangaroo or Bennelong or Cronulla or Coogee. So the dual names just doesn't make sense to me.
75% out of 4 million place names in Australia are already Indigenous, Kel. How many more do we need?
Exactly, and Ben knew that because I told him on an earlier broadcast. He rang me up and they tried to change the name of Cooks River to Gulayi. On the claim that that was the local Indigenous name. And so we had a chat about this, and I said there are already 3 million Indigenous names on the map. So you don't need any more. In other words, what they're doing is not adding extra Indigenous names. They're trying to get rid of English names. It's an entirely negative process.
Yeah, well, that's what we see in this graphic. They're just completely
replaced. What SBS is doing is breaking all the rules. Every state has got a geographical names board, and they get together and they've all got the same sort of rules. One of the rules that the geographical names boards of the states have is you can add names, you can create what is called double naming, but you can only do that with physical objects, a mountain, a river, perhaps an island, not a populated area where people live. So trying to rename Brisbane, Melbourne and Sydney is simply wrong. It breaks all those rules. The second thing is they don't replace the names, they give them double names. So in fact, Uluru is actually called legally Uluru/Ayers Rock, which is why the airport is still called Ayers Rock Airport and why the resort is still called Ayers Rock Resort, because the real name of the place is Uluru Ayers Rock. Now, those are the rules. You can dual name some things, but only physical objects. And this idea that they can rename entire cities is simply against the rules. It's against the law. So some halfwit, and I'm possibly overestimating the fraction in saying that, some halfwit at SBS doesn't know what the rules are. They don't know how it all came. It's just absolute nonsense. I've started a small organisation called SOP, pronounced SOAP, Save Our Place Names. Would you like to support it? All you need to do is be critical every time this rubbish comes up. Go to my website, ozwords.com.au, ozwords.com.au, go to the feedback page and send me a note saying, Kel, I'm on side with SOAP. I want to save our place names.